on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's special edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And it's special because, my God, Theresa Vee is with us today. And if y'all know Theresa, it's always just such an uplifting, grounded, expansive, no holds barred, tell you the truth type of call. And so I love that Theresa is so vast in the different places that she can go, but the guidance that she brings in through her embodied experience, through her connection with the angels, through her connection with spirit, and to her devotion of really living what she receives and then sharing from that perspective. It's tremendous and it's second to none. And it's just going to be a phenomenal call. So we're going to go deep into experiencing angels and miracles in every day. And we'll tell you why in a second. But I wanted to let you know, we are going to go into Q&A. So if you want to ask your personal question, you can raise your hand and we'll get into questions a little bit. You can even type it into the chat box. And Theresa has a really special offer for us, which includes a limited amount of spaces for one-on-one sessions as well. April, will you buy one of them for me, please? I'm taking one, by the way.
We can add one for you.
And you can add one for me. All right, so there's 26, so there's still 25 available. Sorry, I was taking first dibs. What can I say? But y'all, the special offer links in the chat box. We'll go through the special offer later, but if you know that you want a session with Theresa, which I highly recommend, get on there now. Get on the special offer. Not only will you get the opportunity for the reading, but there's a masterclass that's being offered in there that's just looks amazing, and I can't wait to go deeper into that. And other than that, y'all, relax, hang back, take this time for yourself, like breathe into the presence and follow us. So thank you for being here. And Theresa, it's wonderful for you to join us again on Beyond the Ordinary. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and with you as always. This is really exciting. We're in such a really special time right now. So it just feels like the timing is perfect for us to be here. And there's a couple of things that you said that feel really important, but I think the first is breathe. You know, that's been a theme for a little over a year now for us as humans. So let's just take a moment with Archangel Michael as he spreads his wings over us and overlights our time together, calling us into our hearts, calling us into our power and our purpose, gently and lovingly. And let's just bring the breath all the way down to the base of the spine, letting the whole body expand as you draw it down. And with the release, just let go of anything that's no longer serving. Don't force. You don't have to know what it is, just intend. And pay attention with the inhalation. If there's any place that feels stuck or craggly or like you hear squeaks or pops, just breathe through it and release. And we're going to do one more with deep gratitude for the ability to breathe, with Gaia, with Mother Earth. And Archangel Michael is saying, release guilt with the exhalation on this one. Just let it go. Beautiful. That just felt really important to drop in with our breath, because at this time, as with our whole lives, it's the biggest tool that we have in our arsenal, and it can bring us back to center instantaneously. So,
And one breath, if we just remember, oh yes, that breath, that first one, it's just, it can drop us right in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It not only grounds us, for me, it actually expands my auric field. It actually increases my capacity to not only ground, but to be in a vibrational alignment with that which is for me. But again, it's instantaneous. It's amazing.
It is, and it's so incredible too, because it drops us right in to the body and it settles the nervous system. And I think especially in the recent past, the last year, the last 2 years, we've really taken for granted as empathetic sensitives how much our nervous systems have really been affected by the world's energy and all the shifting and changing. So it's really beautiful for us just to nurture our nervous systems in that way, because Archangel Michael has been saying, hey, listen, self-care is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity, because you are not going to be allowed to serve if you're in energetic deficit anymore. So it doesn't serve the world. We need to be in our highest vibration possible. And that's a big shift for us. We've served for so many years from the energy that we have left over. And now to be called into walking this planet as the energetic beings in our fullness that we are is just a shift, but it's also something we've been working towards for so long.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. I want to backtrack a little bit because you brought in Archangel Michael into the transmission. And for anybody who may be new to seeing you on the show, not familiar with your work, tell us about your connection with the spirit realm and with the angelic realm.
So, well, I connect mostly with the archangels. I connect with all sorts of angels and whoever is needed for the group that I am with or for the person that I am with, as long as the spirits are of the highest intention for good and of the highest light. And so all of you who have gifts opening to connect to other realms, if you're only interested in working with the light, that's all you have to do is set that intention. And that is the protection you need. And Archangel Michael he overlights every session that I do, because he is the protector angel and he brings in the Legion of Light and the Band of Mercy. And for us today, he set up a special space for us to meet in this beautiful crystal pyramid where we could all be together. We could all sit at this long table and be in community and communion, because that is the energy we're moving into also. But really, predominantly the archangels is my jam, but I also work a lot with Divine Mother and whoever needs to show up. There's always people who show up in sessions, pets, just divine beings of all kinds. And that really is just the intention of being of service. Who does this person need to show up today? And I am open to whatever needs to flow through.
Yeah, that's beautiful. When you talked about that space that was created particularly for a container today, I felt it. I felt it come in. I've been in linear mode, doing accounting stuff, doing website stuff, all these other things, and I felt myself scattered in 20 different directions. And when we got on the pre-call, and I showed up a few minutes late because I was running crazy, I wanted to drop in for a minute, and I can feel that bubble, and so I was acclimating and attuning to you. It's like, and you're ready to start. I'm like, no, hold on a second. I'm still swimming in this. It's like, hold on. And I can tell the difference now, even pacing of how I'm speaking and our connection. And I'm sharing that perspective just so that y'all can notice perhaps when you got on and see if you're having a visceral physical sensation of being buoyed in another frequency, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. The archangels like to lift our vibration into their vibration. We don't have to work very hard at it. They're always very, very willing to help us lift ourselves there. And so that's part of why I love working with them. They're so accessible and they show up in every holy book ever. So there is not as much resistance to working with angels as there are with other beings. So at some point, even in our lineage, it makes it okay to work with angels.
And working with angels, again, we're being supported in manifesting and creating in new ways. And that's really the basis of our discussion now. And I'd love it if you start going into that so that we can get into the attunements of what's possible for all of us on the call today.
I would love that. And you brought something up in the intro that is so relevant to where we are right now. And you had mentioned when you were describing me, walking your talk. And that is one of my highest ideals, is integrity, right? And each of us has our own highest ideal or several highest ideals that we've brought into this incarnation. And what we've been noticing is that everything that doesn't align with that, especially in the last 3 or 4 months, is falling away in our lives, disintegrating. And we're just standing here like, okay, wow, this is crazy. And so the the angels want us to understand that process is we're being called into fierce alignment with our highest ideals so that we're not distracted by all this other energy anymore, so that we can be the stand for light and be the co-creators from the energy of love that we are being called to be on this planet. So it doesn't serve us to be pulled in a million directions anymore. They need us as balanced and focused as possible so that we can live our mission. And so I know probably everyone on this call has been going through it in their own way. So first, I wanted to acknowledge that as a human being who's been going through the same thing, and the why, because it's the answer to the prayers that we've been putting out there for so long, even though it feels like we are losing things. We're really not. We are gaining so much energy and so many different experiences that we might not have had. So that feels really important as we shift from this paradigm of creation from illusion into a paradigm of creating from reality. And what is meant by that, we've been creating and co-creating as a species from the energy of fear, from the energy of deprivation, from the energy of lack and limitation. You know, all of those energies have been pervasive in our creation and co-creation. These people, you know, this few I don't know, males generally, but like these people have the power to create, and we're all sort of creating out of what's left. And now what's happening is every human being is being invited into this paradigm of love, of functioning from the heart center, of moving more into balance and creating strong foundations from this love energy. And so this is what we mean by moving from illusion into reality. The reality is nothing but love exists, right? We talk about duality and we talk about all the things, but everything at the root is love. And so now, in order for what comes next to be fruitful, to be of service to all, we have to come from the heart center. And in order for it to stand in this new paradigm, it needs to be built on a foundation of love. And that foundation of love is us. It's all of us gathered here today. We are holding that energy. Making sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So it's one of the bullet points and talk points that you talk about is
Mhm.
going from living in the world that we used to see without living in denial. So tell us how the angels and how you see that we've been living in denial and how we start really flowing into the reality that's occurring for us, and not going down a slippery slide that everything is wrong or that the whole world needs to change, but again attuning to that truth so that we can form the paradigms that we choose to live in.
Well, the whole world does need to change in the respect that the whole world needs to remember its true nature. And that's all that needs to happen. We need to come back to who we truly are, each and every one of us, each plant, each animal. We need to go back to that knowing we are love. We are the pure essence of love incarnate. And when we can move forward from that place, it's amazing. But what happens, especially for spiritual, sensitive, empathetic people, is that knowing what goes on in the world becomes too much. So what we do is we choose to not know what goes on in the world. We choose to kind of live in a place of isolation, in a bubble. We also don't like conflict because we have had so much disruption in our systems because of conflict for so many years that we tend to shy away from it. So we end up in denial and spiritually bypassing a lot of things. We don't want to feel them. We don't want to see them. We don't want to acknowledge that they're there. But in doing that, we miss an opportunity to shine our light on those very situations. That's how we know where we are needed in the world. And so what we need to do now is to really move into knowing what's going on in the world without getting caught up in it, right?
Mm.
So just being okay with knowing it's there and knowing it needs our light, knowing that there is a system falling or failing or being rebuilt, and taking ourselves out of the hamster wheel of obsessing on, you know, what's going on in that particular situation. And So that's really important, is that awareness, that knowledge, without getting wrapped up, but also without needing to hide under the bed and not know anything about the outside world or the world outside to your inner universe. And what goes on, if we've seen anything in this past year, it's that what goes on inside of us is echoed in the world outside of us, and vice versa. So there is no difference. There is no differentiation. And when we start to learn that, that and really live that way, seeing every other person and every other experience as an aspect of ourselves, we can better understand that we've chosen to have these experiences to come together to unify the whole and to make everyone's experience better based on what their soul needs.
I agree. And I think part of that big perspective is that when we approach those subject matters, when we see it out of judgment and out of pushing it away, wanting to not be in its vicinity, not have it as part of reality, that's one aspect of pushing it away.
Right.
Being able to be face to face with it and having compassion for it without needing to condemn it is a different way of doing it. Then if it's for you, then you're really guided to do something with it. And if it's not, you don't have to be carried away by the illusion of somebody else's judgment or their mission, if that's what it is. We really get called into our own stream that feeds into a larger ocean, but we carry that purity of that stream within us.
There's also an aspect there, to your point, of fear. Like, we shut down to this stuff sometimes because of fear. And that fear very often is that we're not strong enough to handle it, right? We've learned somewhere along the way that our sensitivity is a deficit instead of the superpower that it is. We are absolutely supposed to know this. And like you said, if it's for you, you'll know what to do next. If it's not, you'll just see it, send it light, send it prayers, whatever it is, and move on from the place of compassion and human understanding. And that's so important, because we need to change that perspective for ourselves of really stepping into our superpowers and not seeing ourselves as less than or weak.
Yeah, and sometimes those big pulls, those big charges that we have that affect us so much, they're actually pulling us into a wisdom that's
Oh,
waiting for us.
absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much wisdom opening up in us now that we're remembering just through ourselves. The angels have been showing me, they've been helping the cells to open up and pulling out this wisdom. But it's not only, the interesting thing is that the wisdom isn't only opening up within our bodies anymore. They're showing me that it's extending into our auras.
Mm.
So we're having a bigger impact on the world. So how, like, if you're ever on a crowded city street, you walk past somebody and you can feel their energy because you've just crossed auras.
Mhm.
Now that wisdom is getting transferred the same way.
Wow.
How amazing is that?
That is interesting. And I've been talking about our field carrying and affecting more, but I didn't really, and I've been talking a lot about embodying our wisdom, that it's coming down, that our body's getting acclimated to it. But I didn't put the wisdom, of course, integrating into the auric field.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Of
This
course.
is this is something they've just started doing in session with people in the last month and a half that I've seen. They're pulling it into the auric field. It's
Wow.
amazing. Yeah.
I love you and I seem to be like on similar pages in different ways, and the information comes in. And sometimes you'll say something like, "Yeah, thank you for putting that piece of the puzzle together for me," because it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. One thing that you're talking about also, which again is in such alignment, and I want to get what you're receiving on this also, because it's merging and marrying different pieces for
Yeah.
me as well. But you talk about the feminine energy being assisted by the grandfather energy.
Mm.
Tell us
It's
more.
really interesting because we've been talking for a long time about moving into more of a feminine paradigm, a feminine led paradigm. That doesn't mean that the masculine energy is out. It means that the masculine energy has been invited to be brought back into its balance while the feminine energy takes over for a little while, or takes the lead for a little while. And so that's been happening. And we're as sovereign beings, each one of us being brought into a balance in our bodies as much as possible each day of the masculine and feminine energy. But the interesting thing is that the world at large hasn't necessarily been ready to see that, you know, and I'm not necessarily talking about the people here, but as we saw in this last election in America, what was brought in was the grandfather energy into leadership. And the grandfather energy is a really safe way for us to approach the feminine energy because it's that unconditional love. And by the way, take people out of this. I'm talking about the figurative, you know, thing. So regardless of how you feel about any one person, but it's that unconditional love, that desire to bring the family together that the grandfather energy represents. And so it's been more acceptable for us to feel that as opposed to move directly into the feminine energy in all of her aspects. And she's still at work, but this is how it's been softened for us so that we can integrate in a more gradual way as a whole population. It's been super interesting just to see how that had to come in.
So with everything that you've been sharing on this show today and the information, which hopefully is again piecing things together in your consciousness as well, all of y'all that are listening, um, how do we integrate all of this wisdom and apply it into our lives, so that we can start seeing the benefit of those changes that we have access to?
The thing for us right now is to move into our heart space as much as possible, to really get into the heart, especially when we start to feel the frenetic energy, you know, and we can always call on our angels to help us get there. One of the fastest ways is to just think about, you know, if you like babies or young animals or whatever it is that brings you into gratitude and your heart, think about that. Come back to the heart because that's the place now where everything is making sense for us. Everything is coming together. And this wisdom automatically can come through us and can integrate when we seek to live more from the heart space. And I just want to acknowledge that this is not going to happen all day, every day, right? We get hungry, we get angry. Like hunger is like my thing, you know, we're not in the heart space then. And, you know, especially if we're tired, it's just to seek to come back as much as possible, you know, and to kind of take it to the point of laughing when we go someplace else. And we're like, oh yeah, there again, you know, let me eat that sandwich, you know. But it's even that brings us into joy. The most mundane things can come into joy. And that's what's really important for us now is to seek to be in love and joy as much as possible because that is our job at this point in time, you know. And so many of us I hear all the time, I don't really know how to play. I never learned how to play because responsibility was taken so early. That's important for us now because that we talked about the masculine feminine balance of energies. What the purpose of this is to bring in the divine child, the Christ consciousness, that joy where we can exist in joy, the divine child, the wonder of everything, right? That's the purpose of this balance. And so for us as the light workers, as the way showers, we're now striving, we've moved through the feminine, we're now striving to get into the divine child energy and to exist there so that we can invite the rest of the world to do the same because they'll see it safe for us. And so that's really it. That's what we have to do to integrate. I mean, there are practices, whatever brings you joy, whatever practices bring you joy and bring you back to center, absolutely worthy and worth it, you know, but community, heart-centered conversation, coming back to the heart, doing the things that bring you joy. That's really the way.
Yeah, and to notice, y'all, and again, I'll use the example. I was in this frenetic energy earlier, doing all these responsible things that I had to do to get things done. But by pausing, and again, that breath that we talked about at the beginning, also just, oh, hold on a second, let me come back into my heart. Maybe I feel like but let me be present. Let me just do the pause. And again, ignite that memory, ignite holding your child once it was first born, or playing with your puppy, or your first love, or whatever it is that ignites that heart space within you, and just be it. And it's practice, it's remembering. We're going to forget, and our body is going to respond, and you'll start, the sympathetic nervous system may start kicking in. And when you feel that, just notice it when you can. When you do, just pause And by taking that breath and recognizing where it is, believe it or not, and I'm going to use this word very specifically, you start mastering your vibrational capacity.
Yeah.
You just do. You become the master of your domain.
That's exactly what this time is. It's a time of self-mastery. That's it, And one of the things that we need to remember is our environment and our body. We can use those things to get ourselves in a certain energy. So if we're feeling like we've come out of the heart, this is one of the simplest things you can do, because we're all sitting a lot. We're all on the computer a lot. Look at this. Look at where my heart is now, right? I'm leading with the heart. I'm just showing my body. I'm changing my posture to open that heart space. And that's all you have to do. Just something that directs your system to where you want it to go. And it's amazing how fast that could work. The breath, the opening, the heart, dancing. Take a minute to dance. Like, just go for a walk, go hug a tree, literally hug a tree. That'll change everything. It's really amazing. And that then brings us back to the place when we are in our heart. I had one teacher who would always say, when you're rooted in your heart, that is the only time you can't be hurt, because you're not attached to anything. And it's so true. And it's in that place when we can live from here that we are in trust in every moment. And that lets us be in flow, right? We're not blocking anything because we are in complete trust that we are fully taken care of in every moment, because we can feel it. We can feel the holding. We can feel the buoyancy of that vibration. It's amazing.
And our capacity to hold that is becoming so much stronger than it ever has been. We have been working to acclimate, to build up what our vessel can hold vibrationally in that light being, in ways that we haven't had before. But in that, Theresa, again, I want to revert back a little bit to what we were talking about, the wisdom coming through and also being integrated through our auric field. So if our auric field is doing this big thing, and
Mm-hmm.
we're across the street and we're affecting other people as empaths, how do we stay in our heart if we're picking up other people's wisdom or what they're projecting through their field?
That's actually a really good question. So one of the first things, so I'm just picturing myself walking down the street, right? And knowing this, like this, knowing this information changes the way you walk, right? Because you start to strut, right? And you're like, my wisdom's affecting your field, right? Like that's the energy you start to walk with. So your confidence level and your excitement level kind of is higher. So you're not getting affected by lower vibrations. But for empaths, one of the most powerful things that we can do is set boundaries with the universe, right? Because our higher self, the universe, our sensitivity doesn't know what our boundaries are. It doesn't know, like our divine team doesn't know what's okay with us. That's why they communicate in certain ways. And if it freaks us out, they back off because they don't want to scare us. So what we can do is state what's okay with us. And so very early on, realizing I was highly empathetic, I made my claim on this. I said, look, I don't want to feel anyone else's anything unless it is my job to help them. And so you can do whatever version of that works for you, but just stating what's okay with you and what's not, that changes the energy. And you can always, decide, okay, today I'm okay with feeling, if you wanted to, for whatever reason. But it's about you setting those boundaries. And so that's the important thing. And when our auras pass by, we don't have to affect each other. But what can happen is something in that person's aura can spark something in yours. And it can be either a learning, it may be a memory that maybe they're struggling with a relationship, and it brings, all of a sudden you're remembering this relationship. You're like, why am I remembering that? So that's the kind of thing that can happen. It doesn't have to knock us out. And so if this wisdom that's opening within you, and that's the other difference now, is we used to see the wisdom coming into us. It used to come in through the channel and we'd bring it down, and it'd be like integrating and translating and days of figuring it out. Now what's happening is our cells are blooming like flowers. And this wisdom, literally, I've been seeing languaging, a lot of Aramaic, a lot of Hebrew, a lot of light language coming out of the cells and just integrating into the system that way from within.
Wow.
And so now, if that wisdom is something that's attainable to somebody else, they pass and they're like, all of a sudden, they're talking to somebody in the supermarket and they say the most profound thing. What just happened? And that's how we can affect change now, just by being willing to be willing and not being afraid that our sensitivity is going to knock us out.
And also by defining the quality of our environment when we have the opportunity to do so. And so being conscious where we choose to be, the water we choose to swim in, if you will,
Yep.
is also going to help us with that vibrational attunement and hygiene, if you will.
Yeah. And it's who we're around, what we're reading, what we're listening to, what movies we're watching. It's all of those things. And that doesn't mean you have to be perfect and watch only things that are on the list of some divine master somewhere. But to know that if something affects your system, maybe you clean up other things. Maybe you eat really well the next day after you watch a movie that disturbed you. So it's just about balancing and compensating and knowing how much power we have over our environment and the choices we can make.
I'm finding also as I'm going to create new things and I'm inspired to put things into place, that as I start creating, if there's something out of balance, out of tune within myself, it's the guidance is we're going to clean this up first, and then the next step is going to be revealed. And I don't have to know it consciously, but it comes up like that awareness, that wisdom that was once a blind spot, or in a different frequency of what wants to be created. It comes up in the field through some type of miracle or synchronicity. And there it is for us to really eliminate the karma, the negative karma from it, if you will.
Right. Yeah. It's so great. I've created this way for a while, and my poor team is always like, we create something and then the guidance comes, nope, not yet. And, they just spent all these hours on it, and I'm like, okay, it'll
Yeah.
happen when it happens and we'll have to tweak things, but that's how things work. And I see this is what has been being said to people over and over by the archangels, people who are feeling stuck or like something big is being birthed through them, but they can't quite see it yet. It's for a couple of reasons, exactly for what you're saying. Like something is brewing, something is shifting, and it's not always just with us, it's also with the world and how it's going to be received. So there's always that aspect too. But there's also this element of wisdom opening up within us that we might not have had access to had we put this thing out into the world a week ago. And so even the way, they've been showing that wisdom is opening up like blossoming flowers in our cells, that's even a much more feminine way of us integrating. And just think about how much energy that's going to be saving us rather than doing the thing where we pull it down and we jam it in and all of that. And that still will happen, but it'll be much more balanced.
Absolutely. And the words that I've been getting over this last week as things are unfolding, as I'm putting things out, and it's like, and the timing is just not what I had planned. And different things in my personal life and what's happening in business in respect to just different things that are swirling around me. And I keep hearing just this beautiful guidance. It's patience, patience, patience. It's like it's all happening. It's all unfolding. And just hearing that, it's just there's this calmness. Like, okay, let me take that breath and remember to just be present with the gifts that are here. And I don't have to be in such a hurry to unwrap it.
True. It's trusting the divine timing, right? Because what's right for us might not be right for the people who are receiving it, might not be right for the world or the energy of Gaia, whatever it is. We don't know all the pieces that are at play ever. And that's that's whenever I whine to the angels, that's what they're showing me. They're like, okay, you're complaining down there. You want to see what's going on over here? And they're showing me all of the pieces and parts they have to move to make anything happen. And they always show me, because Tetris was one of my favorite games as a kid. They're always showing me it like Tetris, like, okay, we got to move this block here and this one. And every time something shifts, everything needs to be moved again. And it's not impossible. It's what they do. They are here to do that work for us. But we just see with our limited perspective. And that's actually changing too. We have much more access, like you're talking about, to feeling, oh, okay, it's not right. I'm just trusting that everything's being moved the way it should. And that can be very hard sometimes. And so I just want to acknowledge from the human perspective that it's not always easy, but it gets easier as we build evidence, as we see things work out. When this kind of thing happens, with it starts with something small, and then we trust more and more with the bigger and bigger things. And that's always us building empirical evidence in our nervous systems based on experience. And so once we have the experience and that evidence saying, hey, it worked out all these times before, it's going to work out again, it's easier for us to relax into trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so good. There's so much for you to share in the way that again, the angels are coming in and sharing the wisdom and helping us to remember, be peaceful with it, be calm with it. I've got a beautiful rainbow that I'm staring at, by the way, as we're speaking. Hello, thank you.
So
Um,
jealous. I have 18
which,
inches of snow.
which hardly ever comes up on this side. So this is really interesting because normally I get rainbows over there. Anyway.
I know
um,
exactly where you're looking, so.
I won't show you guys. We'll keep focused on Theresa. But I want to get into Theresa because I want to take live callers. So if y'all want to ask your live questions, type it into the chat or raise your hand. I'd love to see y'all on video and have that interaction also. And as you're doing that, and I'm putting some of you guys as panelists, Theresa, let's take a few moments and go through the special offer, which again includes a one-on-one session with Theresa if you choose package B. And there's only 25 of those spots. There were 26, but it was 26 because I asked for one anyway. I'm just bragging. I'm sorry. There's 25 spots open for that package B. And package A, it's the Miracles Everyday package, is something that you're going to want to dive into. And I received from the last time you're on, Theresa, so many people emailing out to me, people that were in the Light membership, people on Facebook. It's like, I just finished Theresa's course. It was amazing. I can't believe I received so much. You just keep knocking out of the park and delivering.
Oh.
So y'all click on the special offer link. April has typed it into the chat box. Just click on it there, or you can type into your web browser in case you can't find the chat box. Just open up a new window and go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Theresa24, the number 24. And then it'll take you to that same special offer page. And Theresa, if you would guide us through what everybody's going to receive when they purchase either package.
This is one of those things that's always divinely guided, because the angels always put this together for exactly what's needed. So it's the Angels and Miracles Everyday package. And the first item is the Miracles Everyday meditation package. And there are 3 meditations. They're all under a half an hour long, so you can integrate them into your life, hopefully very seamlessly. And they will get you to your next level of energy. There's a meditation for becoming, a meditation journey with Divine Mother, and clearing our earth-based chakras and making them crystalline. So moving from the carbon-based structure to the crystalline-based structure. And so those are very powerful meditations and perfect for this time in our shift and evolution. And then the second item is the group angelic support session, where we will come together in community on a call. The archangels will offer really powerful healing after they deliver some messages for us. So as we come together, there's a lot of collective things that come up for healing, for integration, for changes in vibration. And there's also a lot of personal things that come up. And so these sessions are always really powerful. And I always hear incredible shifts that happen after them. So you will definitely feel touched, empowered, clear, and energetically free after this session. I can guarantee that. And then the third item is the Visioning Your Year workshop. And you can use this anytime during the year, and it will help you create an actual vision board. Whether you want to create it in the traditional way or another way, we'll take you through all of the steps. Part 1 is getting into clarity and alignment with your vision. Part 2 is expressing that vision. And then part 3 is building and expanding upon it with your vision board. And then we'll talk about, in the course, we talk about how to use that vision board as a tool for the whole year so that you can shift your vision, change your vision, and hold your vision. And then the fourth item is the Opening to Miracles, Living in the Sacred Now series. And this will be a live series. It's 3 parts via Zoom, much like this. We'll be gathering 3 different Thursdays, I think it is, in March, and we'll be working in 3 parts. The first part will be cultivating our life force, meaning increasing our vital energy so that we can show up as energized as we need to be right now. Part 2 will be clearing the channel, unblocking all of the energy that our increased life force naturally unblocks for us, and stepping into more clear communication with our team, our guidance, and our intuition. And then part 3 is living alive. So not just living on this planet as a sensitive empath, but feeling really alive as we do it, enjoying the process of this incarnation and all of the beauty and the miracles that our day-to-day life can hold if we allow it. So that's that series. So that's the first package. And I'm super excited to be able to offer it at $97 for you all. And so I'm really grateful for that. And then package B, like John said, it's all of that stuff. And it includes a one-on-one angel reading, a 30-minute reading with me. It'll be a call. It'll be recorded for you so that, especially in the first quarter of the year, this is really handy to help you hold your vision through the rest of the year, and see what the angels have to say. So exciting. And you can come to those with questions also. The angels will answer any questions that you might have.
And your readings are amazing. Again, the direct transmission and what gets shared, I feel so satiated, and like my heart's been met in such a beautiful way, uh, that feels both nurturing and empowering at the same time. It's the sessions with Theresa are amazing, the one-on-ones and the recordings and the broadcasts with Theresa. Again, I've heard from so many people in our community how much they've benefited and enjoyed and felt that heart expansive, wisdom enhancing energy as well. So again, it's an honor to be able to offer these types of promotions at the discounted rates that we do on Beyond the Ordinary show, because we gather in community this way. It allows us to bring in the quality that I feel is really beneficial for our process of awakening, of ascension, of remembering, of empowering, of mastering. And to do it in a community like this, again, it's just a beautiful environment to really facilitate that and integrate it in a way that accelerates, if you will, the process because of the pristine energy that is being held in. So I hope you all take advantage of the special offer. Again, package B includes the one-on-one session. It's 30 minutes. It's recording. Everything that's offered in package A is included in package B as well. Package B is $197. There's a 2-payment option on that to make it a little bit easier for you, if that helps. And package A is $97, which is, Theresa, this a bargain. Thank you. And there's a 2-payment option on that also. So take advantage of it. The link's in the chat box, or again, you can get to by opening a new window and typing in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Theresa24. And
I just wanted to say to you also, I love doing these sessions, any kind of session like this, because the angels always surprise me too with what comes out and some of the information. And so I have just as much fun and wonder in the sessions as the clients. And so it's always a blessing and a lot of fun. So
it is a lot of fun. Again, you'll walk away just so sick. It's like, thank God. So,
yeah, they're amazing.
Over and over again. And I've had several sessions with Theresa, so it's always more than what I expected. Which is, and I have a lot of readings and I do it for a living, so I can't take advantage of it. Theresa, let's open up to live Q&A.
Awesome.
My third but first favorite part of the show. It's always so good. It's like they just change up. I'm in a silly mood all of a sudden. I don't know why, but let's play. All right, who wants to go first? Let's go, Jess. Jess, let's get you to unmute and let us know what your question is for Theresa.
Hi, Jess.
How are you, Theresa?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I kind of tried to summarize my question in the Q&A, but I really resonated with what you were saying at the very beginning of the call. I I feel like working with archangels opened up my whole kind of psychic world over a 7-year period. Apologize for that person. And unfortunately, I am kind of in a toxic environment at the moment, and I'm curious why I'm feeling like when I get into the energy field of someone who's working with the angels regularly, I feel that again. I feel that power that taught me how to use, my relationship with Archangel Michael to be such an amazing healer, or that power of Archangel Uriel to purify situations. But I also have been feeling the last couple of days like the very traumatic death of my cat, Phoenix, 3.5 years ago is coming up again. Like it may be a block to this bigger kind of relationship. And I guess what I'm trying to express is just I really resonate with the sense that I can't be fully in that energy anymore from a place of trauma or lack or needing to heal now in order to step into the next thing for me. Does that make sense? Kind of
It
what my
does.
question is.
It does. And so a couple of things came up as you were talking. One of I'm going to start with the environment, right? Because as you were talking about your environment, the angels were saying, "Can you find the humor in the situation? Like, can you stand outside of it and find the humor?" Because I have to tell you, I heard what was going on behind you and I was laughing, like, don't eat her cheese, So it's just about finding the humor in the day-to-day moments where you can find it right now. So that's number one. Number two, what they're showing me is okay, so Archangel Gabriel has come in for this. There's a lot of guilt around Phoenix's transition for you. And that's what's coming up for clearing, because there's other things in the world that are triggering that. And it's so interesting because in our breathing early in our call, Archangel Michael said, "Release guilt." And I was like, that's interesting. And so it's time to let that go, because your cat was named Phoenix. What do you think happened to your cat's soul? Right? Like you intuitively knew that this soul was going to rise from the ashes of this situation. And actually there's an element of mastery to your cat's soul. Your cat is one of your guides now and is so grateful to be able to be that. So it's about really taking the guilt and letting it release from your system. Just be willing to let it release. Breathe into your nervous system and say, "Okay, guilt, I release you. I set you free." And then Gabriel is showing me there's energy that he will help bring into your system to replace that. And it also feels like you are going to be able to speak to people and help them through guilt transition energy. I don't know if that makes sense to you, if that it may not be professionally, if that's not what you so choose, but it feels like it is.
It is.
Okay. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
feels like there's an element of your personality too that's a little bit scared because it's going to be powerful. And so you're holding on to the story to avoid taking the leap. So Gabriel is saying, if you're willing to let this go, I will not let the energy move faster than you are ready for it. So is that okay with you?
Wow. Yes. It's Hollywood. I've got a film on the red list and I'm moving to LA to make this movie. And so that is scary for me, being visible in that way. But knowing that I have Archangel Gabriel on my side to help me with the clarity of the altruism of that film so that it can be made in the special way that it needs to. It is a reclamation film about shame and guilt. So thank you. That's very profound. Thank you.
And just make no mistake, like I see your cat in the editing process. Like literally your cat is sitting there with glasses on and a pencil behind its ear or her ear, like editing the movie. So it just know that there's all of these spirits at work with you here. And this is all your souls all agreed to this.
Thank you
Beautiful.
for connecting with Phoenix. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And Cass, I want to ask you something. Are you an advocate for other people? Do you like really stand up for them and like really show up?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I very clearly set my intention young in my life that witness was going to be a big thing for me, not just in my career, but in my life because of the lack of witness that I have had in my family and in my community. So I feel like I grew up in Texas. That's where I am now. I feel like there's a lot of scapegoating
I
here.
lived in
And
Texas for 30 years.
okay,
So
okay,
I'm
we
familiar
should
with it.
talk.
Oh, well, I
Yeah.
just want to let you know, and the guidance is that not only do you have Archangel Michael with you, but you have you with you.
Mm-hmm.
And tap into that part that's an advocate for so many, that knows, that can empathize, that can shine a light where others couldn't see before. And remember that part of you. It's being that light is shining on you now. And it's time for you to remember, because it's time for you to lead it as well.
Thank you, John. Fill the
Yeah,
cup for yourself.
Mhm.
Thank you.
exactly. Thanks for calling in. And we're stepping in, and for as we're awakening, as we're remembering, as we're going into this alignment, Theresa, I really feel that so many of us that are saying, we know that we're devoted to this, there's nothing else. I mean, truly, there's a devotion and to life and to being a human, but to this devotion to constantly keep evolving, there's like, there might be a choice, but it's like we have no choice almost, because it's so natural and organic. And in that, all of us, and I have to call it out, we're being called into leadership, and to remember our capacity and to go into the wells of that energy. But again, that leadership comes from what you talked about earlier, Theresa. It's that foundation of love. And from there, everything blossoms. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful what's coming up.
Yeah. And the big thing that we've been talking about for a long time, but is especially important now, is that devotion is really beautiful, right? But it doesn't have to be so serious. It can be full of joy and full of pleasure. There's devotion means that you are devoted. You're going to show up. You're going to do what you can, but you can also do it in a way that brings your heart more joy.
All right, so wonderful. Again, Cass, thank you so much, and blessings on your project. So exciting. All right, let's go to Patricia. Patricia, hi.
Hi, John. Hi, Theresa.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Well, apparently Texas is represented tonight.
All right, y'all. Yes.
Exactly. I'm in Austin, have been for like 36 years and been trying to leave for many years. And somehow I've not gotten away from it for whatever reason. So, but Theresa, I wanted to ask you, I've had a unexpected health issue that came up like in October of last year. And it's been a really amazing learning and growing for me. But I wanted to see what the angels had to say about that because they want to do surgery, and I have been doing so much energy work on it, and nutritional work and that type of thing. And so and I really don't feel like that is the best way to go. So I just wanted to check in.
So there's a couple of things. The first piece is what we've been seeing a lot is surprise physical things going on in the body, or physical things that we thought we had cleared up years ago showing up again or a little bit differently. So this has been an ongoing thing for light workers and way showers. So I just want to let you know that you're not alone in this. Like it feels really important for us to all realize we're not doing anything wrong or we haven't missed anything. This is coming up, and the angels have been showing us, because we're moving into this higher frequency energy, anything that has existed in our bodies that cannot move into that frequency is coming up for us to take care of it. And the biggest thing for us to do when taking care of our systems is to trust our intuition, to trust the conversation that happens between us and our bodies, us and our body elemental, to really listen to what is needed, because maybe the energy work and the nutrition work are working for you, right? And maybe that takes care of it. And maybe for someone else that's not the case, and surgery feels like the better option. It doesn't make anything right or wrong. It makes it what's needed by you right now. And I just also want to say a lot of people who tend to lean towards more holistic things sometimes discount other ways. And I'm not saying you're doing this, by the way. It just feels important to bring into the collective. Discount more allopathic ways of going about things because they're not holistic. But sometimes those things are there because they're what are needed. So if you are in a place where you're tending to your body and you feel like something that feels a little bit harsh, if you're more holistic minded, is the right way to go, then trust your intuition on that as well. It's really about listening in to what's right for you right now. So your body, when I feel into you, your system looks really clean. Like you've been taking very good care of yourself. And so I would say continue on with your intuition. And as new information develops, feel into that step by step.
Awesome. Thank you, Theresa. Thank you so much for that confirmation. That's really great. Yeah.
Blessings, Patricia. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it. Okay, let me go to a question in the Q&A. So this comes from Chrissy. And Chrissy writes, thank you for the golden opportunity. I'm on a new path looking for a family home for my twins and I. Any guidance is welcome.
This is, first of all, it feels like you are really busy. So taking care of running around after twins. And it's interesting because it feels like there's some variance in energy there. Like you have to not just consider one way of feeling in the home. There are a couple of different things for you to consider. So what feels good, and the angels are showing me, is to make some sort of list or vision board or whatever feels good to you. Get that out of your head. You know, what you would need and what each of your twins would need. You can have them be part of the process if that's where they are, and what's important to you. And then find the place where all of those things match up and get really clear on those so that your manifestation can happen a lot more quickly, because it feels like they're showing me there's a lot swimming around your head that you have to take care of. And so there's a constant whirlwind energy, and the angels are trying to grab it as it comes by to manifest it for you, but then they miss it and they have to, go through it again. And so it just feels good for you to get it out of your head and be more clear on your manifestation.
That's wonderful. And I love this question came up and how, and so this even takes me back to the special offer again. The rainbow got bright again. I love it. Takes me back into the special offer. So to go even deeper into conversation and to get more of the nuances and the subtleties of it, of course, the private session. But the first package, visioning your year and what's including there, opening to the miracles and living in the sacred now, cultivating your life force, clearing the channel, living alive. This is an alchemical process in how to create these times right now. It just is. And if you follow that and you get attuned to your heart's song and live in accord with that, it's going to amplify your ability to see more clearly and not have doubt running the show. And perhaps it has been, or not allowing the busyness to take you off center as much as it might tend to. So this special offer, and then to get into the group angelic support session, and then the miracles everyday meditation package also. And I went through specifically through this in this package right now, because this is going to help you not only in this one particular situation, for anybody on the call. This is something that we get to have in our field, in our wisdom, in our auric memory. and how we're living our lives and choosing to create. So the special offer is fantastic. I cannot say enough about it. April, type in the link again in the chat box so everybody can access it super easily. And y'all take advantage of it again. It's $97 for the first package. And if you want the private session with Theresa, it's $197. And if you want that and you're thinking about it, sign up for it. There's only 25 available because of Theresa's time. And I highly recommend it. So if you're on the fence, I'm telling you, you just need to do it. You will be so happy that you did. All right, Theresa, let's go to another question. There's a question that came in the chat box also, and I'll go to some live questions here in a second. But this is a question that came in from Wendy. Wendy, thank you for writing it in. And this is going to serve a lot of people. So Wendy writes, I'm having a hard time lately handling other people's energy. I was just in a meeting and the guy sitting behind me was talking and it felt like knives sticking in my back. I pray for protection when I go out in public, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really important. There's an element here of a shift for you in your paradigm and the way you're showing up. So first of all, you carry a tremendous healing energy. So you are able to feel what needs to be healed in other people, right? So part of you doesn't want to, you want the protection, but you intuitively know that, and you don't want to fully shut down in case you're needed. So there are parameters you can set here, you know. So we'll talk about that, but what feels really important is the shift from praying for it to be done for you to actively doing it, right? So you can call on your team to help in the process of protecting yourself, but then put on your bubble of protection. Do whatever the practice is, breathing exercises, whatever it is that strengthens your aura. And you can do this several times throughout the day if you need to. And it feels like for you, it's really shifting into you taking the lead on this with the assistance of your divine team. And that also will shift how your healing energy manifests on this planet. So if you do something similar to what I was stating before, like I don't want to feel anyone else's energy unless I'm in session with them, or I am needed to assist in their process, then you will know, because you're feeling knives in your back from the person behind you, that he needs some energy work or some love, and you can turn around and give him a smile or say, are you okay? Or whatever it is to assist. So it's what feels good to you, but those two things feel really powerful for you right now, and stepping into the reclamation of your true nature and the claiming of how you walk this planet.
Right. I think there's also something to be said in taking physical action to stand up in what feels in integrity for us. So if there's someone sitting behind me that's talking and I'm really trying to listen and I can't concentrate, it's also just lightly looking back and saying, you know, I have a hard time concentrating, and you speaking while they're talking is really taking me or distracting me from what I'm trying to obtain.
Right.
And we can't always look for the savior outside of us. Sometimes we have to enforce our will by speaking it through our human body. And it can be done with a lot of compassion, a lot of love, but it's not being afraid of the confrontation, not responding to past memories of how people responded back. And if there is a negative response back, knowing that you don't have to take it in the energy in which it's perpetuated to. It's really being in a discerning energy, because that starts to amplify our field of what we're willing to receive and what environment we are choosing to be in. And we can reset that through our physicality as well. So it's important to speak from our integrity, because if we're holding an anger or resentment towards the other person, then what is it inside of us that's being asked to come forward in integrity, so that we're not holding the negative energy that's supposedly coming towards us? Now, if we're just uncomfortable and we're not holding resentment, okay, well, there's something here for me.
Right.
And so again, discerning, being aware of the wisdom that's being granted to us, and always knowing that it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. All of these calibrations and the wisdom that's being acclimated through these situational circumstances are happening for you, because they're teaching you how to embody and walk in your mastery in ways that you never have before.
So I'm just laughing because this is taking me right back to a situation from my life where I was in a corporate situation. I had just started a new job and they took me out to lunch because they were, really excited. And and I'm sitting at lunch and all of a sudden I can't breathe. My chest is tightening. I hadn't had an anxiety attack at this point in like 15 years. So I was like, what is going on? So I like went to the restroom and I'm in there and I'm going through everything. I'm like, what is causing the anxiety? I couldn't figure it out. So I go back to the table and now I look at the person who was sitting on my left, my new boss. And he is red and he is sweating. And I'm like, what is going on with you? And he says, oh, I had 8 espressos this morning. And I was like, why would anyone do that? But he explained that he usually gets a quad and Starbucks accidentally made him 2. So he drank them both. And so now he's on my left. So I'm pulling in. That's the side where we pull in energy. I'm pulling in his energy. And that's why I'm having palpitations and I can't breathe. Right. So I was like, okay. So then what happens? My first day on the job, I'm like, I'm going to go sit over there, because this is what we need to do. Like that was my boundary. I need to go sit somewhere else because, you drank 8 cups of coffee, which wasn't a good idea. So that's about your boundaries too. And, what do you need in this moment, as well as what does the other person need?
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a great story. That's funny. And yeah, I'm so sensitive to other people's fields. And again, being aware that we get to take action, we're in choice of our environment and how we put it in. So it's wonderful. All right, let's go to another caller. Let's go to Susan. Let's get you to unmute.
I'm just gonna reach for my plug, so hang on.
All right.
I need to plug in my machine. Hi,
Good
Susan.
Good to talk to you. Good to talk to you. That was a funny story. I liked it very much. I have a similar thing with my son. My son and I have a very interesting relationship. He's of a different way of thinking than I am, and so we have to have boundaries as well. So, but my question is basically, I'm a healer and I do a lot of work. Basically, since it's COVID, at home through the internet and remote healing and so forth. And I work with I've known my angels. I don't know their names. I've always wondered about that because I've seen them even when I was a child. I could physically see them. Now I can't. I just feel their presence. And I was just wondering, is there anyone specifically working with me? And is there anything that I need to know about the angels that work with me?
So the first thing all you said was, I have a similar thing with my son, and Archangel Raphael stood above you and Michael stood with your son. And so part of what they were showing is that you have different etheric DNA. So what we have our physical DNA, but the angels always show me that we have etheric DNA too, and we're all of the lineage of one of the archangels, every one of us. And so you are of Raphael's lineage, which is, he's the healing angel, and he works very closely with you and through you, and he has throughout your entire life. He's showing me that you as a little girl, you used to play with him. And yeah, and the other, your son's interpretation of the Michael energy, the Michael energy, he interprets it, and he's much more harsh as a warrior, it feels like, so that your sensitive feeling, healing nature and his warrior-like nature sometimes don't jive in the same space. So it's just a matter of understanding that. They're making me feel like understanding that will alleviate some of what's going on between you. But definitely talk to Raphael. You also have many guardian angels that come with you, and it feels like the guardian angels for your clients join you before session as well. So they're showing there are 10 angels. It's Raphael in the center, and there's 5 on each side standing there. So yeah, so you can.
Raphael is like the one I call Big Blue because I always feel that beautiful presence. One more question.
Yeah.
I have a daughter who has pretty much wanted nothing to do with me for the last 2 years. She and I raised her metaphysically, and now she's distance. I don't know what's going on with her. And I just kind of wondered what was going on there. And because right now I feel like I shouldn't be even trying to contact her. I let her be who she is. And I'm just curious as to what's going on with her.
So Archangel Ariel showed me that she's with her,
Okay.
and you have asked for her divine beings to be with her. So I see Divine Mother and Archangel Ariel with her, because it feels like your feeling is that she needs a soft motherly energy with her, since you are not there. And so I see all this pink energy around her, like she's being taken care of. And what it feels like, that what they said to me is she's been running away from an aspect of herself that she's not ready to face. And there's always interpersonal stuff, especially with parents and children, but there's a piece of herself that she's not ready to integrate and to face, and they're softening her to that and making the process softer for her.
She's a very loving being. I know this. She's always been like that. She's just going through a phase. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Susan, go get a reading with Theresa. It sounds like you want to ask a lot more questions and go in. And I want to give an opportunity for other people to get on here. So pardon the interruption. Theresa, there's a question that comes in from CR, and I think this is a great one. CR writes, is there a reason why I don't see a lot of things through to end, to its finish?
Beautiful question. There are two things that I see here for you. The first has to do with the masculine energy running through your body. It feels like it's not fully grounded. There's an element of your story that keeps repeating to you that it's not safe to fully ground here, because you are so sensitive, and you've been sensitive your whole life, and you felt a lot more than people were able to acknowledge, and they couldn't help you through. So they're sort of showing me that in early life. And so it's almost like you walk through with your feet 14 inches above the ground. That seems to be the magic number. They've been showing me that for people. So it feels like that, but it also feels like there have been times in your life where powerful masculine figures, their masculine energy has overtaken yours. And your system now melds into whatever masculine energy is around you. And so the angels are saying it's time for you to tap into that aspect of yourself, to balance your own masculine with your feminine, so that you can ground here and move things forward. Like your own personal energy is enough to start things, but not carry them through. And so they want you to be able to have that experience. And so what they're asking is it okay with you for the next 3 nights if they gently and lovingly pull your energy back into your body as much as it is able to go without you feeling overwhelmed or stressed or in pressure? So if your answer is yes, they will work with you for the next 3 nights to bring that rebalance and that healing in for you. That feels really important. And just your willingness will start to shift this process for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the question and great answer, Theresa. Theresa, I'm guided to ask you, should we take a few more questions, or should we go into a transmission and process from the angels? What are you guided to?
Let's take some more questions.
Right.
I feel like they might lead us to that place.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, Mona, let's go to you. If you can unmute. I'm going to Mona. Unmute, please.
Unmuted.
Hi, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Hi, Mona.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. My question is, what am I receiving from Spirit that has my energy elevated to a degree of uncertainty with my health or my job, my work?
So a lot of people are saying that they can't really hear you. So from what I'm understanding is you're asking what is it that you're receiving from Spirit that has you in a vibration that brings you into uncertainty with your health and your job. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So this feels, again, like we were talking about in the beginning, there's your highest values in your life. Your life is being called to align with your highest values. So your physical system, it feels like, is going through a little bit of a shift in terms of the energy that is releasing so that you can move forward, or the things that are coming up so that they can be taken care of. It's like for all of us, the car needs maintenance every once in a while, and that's what it feels like is happening in your system right now. There's some maintenance that needs to happen so that the vibration can go, and it feels like your job, it's not necessarily detrimental, but it feels like it didn't really make your heart sing and align with what's most important to you. Does that feel true, Mona?
I'm just grounding this as we speak, is trying to establish my place in this as I've been studying and trying to put into practice.
Yeah. So one of the things that will help you here is to get very clear on what your highest values are in life if you're not clear. And then from there, to get clear on how you want to feel in your day-to-day life moving forward. Those two things, it feels like, align your energy very quickly, and then circumstances around you can start to realign with that. It feels like there's a little confusion in the field right now because you've been swept up into the uncertainty. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Great questions. Great questions. And the next question I want to take is actually building on top of this, Teresa. And this comes from Thea, and she writes, I'm feeling stuck in my spiritual development. Can you offer some guidance for me?
The angels make me laugh all the time. So I'm seeing Archangel Michael like in workout clothes, like, oh, it's time to shift. It's time to shift. So it feels like for you, your what you've been doing for a while has served you really well and been incredibly beautiful for your growth. It feels like now there's new ways of doing things that want to open up for you. And so there's this feeling of not necessarily stuckness, but like kind of running on a treadmill. So you're not really getting anywhere. It's like, oh yeah, this is great, but I'm staring at the same thing. So he just wants you to really open up, go into your heart space and open up to what feels good to you now. Right. So maybe your spiritual practice starts to look a little different, and it just feels like playing into the space of what feels good to me now, what needs to shift, and letting go of some of the other things with deep gratitude and so much love.
That's wonderful. Teresa, what do you think of the concept that we go through so many, and especially when we first start off, we go through these pinnacle experiences and they're super peak. It's like we can feel the energy, you can feel the acclamation. It's like a completely different atmosphere that we're in, and it's so visceral. And we start acclimating and we start learning how to swim in it, and it starts feeling very comfortable.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it gets so comfortable, we miss the peak experiences and we feel that we're stuck, but we're actually functioning from a place that we've been searching for all along.
Yeah, I have to say, I miss being in those peak experiences sometimes. They were so much fun, and the stories that you would have to tell. But then we get to that point where we sort of plateau because we've elevated to meet the energy. And then there's always a new elevation, but there's always a different perspective. So for a lot of us, we're so used to reaching up to bring that energy down. And now it's about opening and expanding outward. And so that feels like a big shift that can be harsh to the system because, we're really good at sitting to meditate and going up, but it's just like we're hitting the ceiling now, So yeah, it's amazing. And it's also hard when that shifts.
Mm-hmm. But realize that we're creating from that place that we were seeking from such a long time ago. Our world's starting to create from that place instead of from the other perspective in which we were resonating from, birthing something from. So good awareness to have on that. All right, let's go to another caller here. Before I go to the next caller, I have to remind y'all, first of all, the replay will be out. We'll send it out in the email a little bit later. You can always access replays also by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. So know that the call is going to be on there. Come back and listen. Come back and be in the vibrational elements. And Theresa, even just the beginning of the show again, into the breathing, into being in the space and how I attune to it. It's like, thank you. Just even those first 15 minutes, like, oh, bring me back into that oasis is wonderful of where in any type of that frenetic energy, maybe come back and at least drop into that. And
So
oh, go ahead, Theresa.
I just wanted to say to you, so let's do one more. Let's finish what you're saying, do one more call, and then Archangel Michael wants to bring in some energy.
Perfect. Okay. And what I want to finish saying, and I'll keep saying it actually for a while because we're going to send an email links with it. The special offer. You'll dive into the special offer, the meditation package, the manifestation, the gaining clarity. Again, it's this alchemical process that you'll be able to use over and over again to create in these energies that you now have access to and that you're mastering. It's powerful. And
I'm really excited about it. This is a great experience.
Live call, recorded calls, everything will be in your download library. Even after live calls, you'll be able to download it. It's something to keep accessing. Yeah. So the special offer again with those classes, with the live calls. And if you want the private 30-minute session as well, that's package B. Take advantage of one or the other or both. Actually, you get both when you buy the private session. So $197, $97. Go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Theresa24 or click on the link that I know April has typed into the chat box for us. So that's wonderful. And let me take the next caller before we go into whatever Michael's bringing through. I can feel that wave already. Oh, so beautiful. Rebecca, let's go to you.
Hello, thank you. So I was just been doing a lot of work on increasing my intuition and enjoying that kind of spiritual things. Just finding that it's hard sometimes to still hold on to your role as a wife and a mother, and just if you have any advice on sort of staying grounded but also exploring those places.
That's the really fun part of this whole human experience. Like, we get these great spiritual experiences and they're fantastic, and we like to hang out in this realm up here, but then it's time to be like, okay, how do we bring it down? How do we make this practical in our lives? How do we make it applicable? And so that's been my mission forever. It's like, if I can't help you ground this in, then why am I teaching it, right? So for you, it feels really important to invite that aspect of yourself, that highly spiritual being, into your day-to-day life. And if you're making yourself breakfast, or you're helping your kid with something, or you're helping your partner with something, make that into a spiritual experience of service. I am serving you. I am working with you because I am working with the whole. And then start from there of really being present in that moment, because when we are present in the moment, we are automatically in meditation. And so every minute of every day is a moment that we have the chance to be in a meditative state. And so that feels very practical for you, and a way to really start anchoring that. And then to make sure that your system knows there are times that you've set aside where you're going to be able to go and slide over the rainbows and, frolic in your spiritual self. But every single thing in your life can become a spiritual experience if you let it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for calling. And Theresa, take us away.
Yeah. So everyone just feel your body relaxing into the chair or the cushion. Just let yourself be held for the next few moments. If you can sit with a straight spine, that's best. If not, that's fine too. And Archangel Michael is asking your permission. The angels need your permission in order to work and serve. He would like to take his beautiful sword of light and healing and integration and attunement and bring it down through your chakra system, through your energetic, your column of light, your energetic system, through your spinal column. So he's holding it up, and he will gently bring the sword of light through the crown, displacing energy that has been held in your system, that is ready to release, through the brain, through the throat, through the high heart, the solar plexus. Just keep breathing, breathe, invite this energy down. It will just push all of the other energies out of your system, down through the sacral chakra and into the root, and continues down into the earth. And with every breath, let the light from the sword that's going through your column of light, let it expand and push out any discordant energies that might be ready to be pushed aside, rectified, released. Just continue letting that light expand from your column of light outward. Don't worry if you start to sweat. Archangel Michael very often brings the heat. And with each breath, invite in more of that light. With each exhalation, release. Let your system relax. And Archangels Ariel, Gabriel, Raphael now come as Archangel Michael starts to draw his sword up. They push light energy up through your entire system, from the root all the way up, as Archangel Michael draws his sword back up. A healing balm. Fixing any cracks or fissures in your energetic system, allowing this frequency to resonate at the exactly perfect vibration for you today. And Archangel Michael now goes back to the crown of the head where we store so much guilt, so much guilt. And he takes his wings and he brushes the guilt away, relaxing and releasing. Let it go. So that you can integrate more of the vibration of connection, more of the intuition, more of the clarity that comes through your connection with your higher self and the divine. You're letting the guilt go. Anyone who it's attached to now, your bond of love can get stronger because the guilt is released. You can see each other through the lens of truth instead of the lens of illusion. Anything that is not love is illusion. Anything that is not love is illusion. Anything that is not love is illusion. Let it go. Archangel Michael would like us all to take one more deep breath into our heart, letting our ribcage expand, front, back, and sides, letting it just go as big as it can. And then releasing, bringing our attention down through the sitting bones, down into the earth through the feet. Letting ourselves ground, letting ourselves be fully present for the miracle that is our earthly experience. And he says, I am with you now and always. I am with you today and in every moment that is to come. I have never left you. I can assist you with anything and everything. All you need to do is ask. Know how loved you are. Know how greatly revered your soul is, and know how perfect and how perfectly suited you are for this experience. I am Michael, and I bring you these truths. Mm.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, Mikhail, thank you. And Theresa, thank you. As always, such a blessing. And I want to leave us here in this energy. It's so beautiful and so pristine. Just, again, thank you. Thank you for what you do and the love that you do it with.
Ditto.
Everybody, namaste. I'll see you on the next call. Have a great evening.